The Golden State Warriors failed against Boston Celtics, and that's a good thing. As you all know, the Boston Celtics faced off against the Warriors where they actually lost 140 to 88, where Boston beat them by over 50 points. Now, this had a lot of NBA fans and NBA analysts saying that the Golden State Warriors dynasty is over, but here are 5 reasons why this loss is actually a good thing for the Warriors and how it can help them throughout the rest of the season and help it make them back into the playoffs and hopefully win another NBA championship. So make sure to like this video. And guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it'd mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. The first is that everyone is freaking out a little too much over one single game. Now, as you all know, yes, it was a blowout. Boston Celtics did have 140 while Golden State Warriors did have 88 in this matchup, but a blowout does happen, and it does seem that Boston Celtics were hot, and that's just how the cookie sometimes crumbles. However, if we look at the past, we know that the Golden State Warriors actually beat Boston in their first matchup where they won 132 to 126. So it's not showing that the Warriors are any worse. They tried a new defensive strategy. It didn't work. Jason Tatum and especially Jaylen Brown did get hot in a hurry, and because of that, they had to pay the price. But now I don't believe they are going to make those same defensive matchups mistakes. Now, when it comes to those defensive changes that they did made, Draymond Green had this to say in an interview about what they actually tried.
I don't think we really played a full defensive strategy to kind of dive into that. We didn't implement. We implemented our strategy like 15 minutes before we left the locker room. So I don't necessarily think we put together a full defensive strategy to debate on what they're doing with their offense and how to stop it. But
is that a different approach than you kind of used in the past against them, or even in that first game in San Francisco?
Well, I was at home that game, so I couldn't tell you much about that game plan. But yeah, it ain't work. Oh well, we move on. So I thought it was fun to try. I was actually all for it. Like, let's try it. See if it works. If it don't, oh well. It does. We found something. All right, it ain't work, so we move on.
So as you saw from the interview, it definitely does show that Draymond Green and the rest of the Warriors don't really seem too fazed by this loss. Yes, they tried something new. It didn't work out, but you can tell that they gave up a very quick in that matchup, as they pretty much gave up after the first half. So they pretty much rested everyone after they made that mistake, but it does seem that they aren't going to run that same sort of strategy against Boston in the future if it does arise. This showed just how valuable Brandin Podziemski is for this Golden State Warriors roster. Now, as you all know, Brandin Podziemski did actually not play in this matchup, and because of that, we definitely saw a huge decrease when it came to that position, as Brandin Podziemski does a fantastic job at playing great defense, but also providing scoring when needed. And I think this is something that is very slept on when it comes to Brandin. Yes, he is a rookie, but he's definitely shown signs that he is a very mature player and that he has such a huge asset for this team, and he is going to be needed when it comes playoff time and especially even championship time. Now, when it comes to Podziemski so far this season, he is averaging 9.7 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, while also shooting 45% from the field, which I think is fantastic. If you look at his 3-point percentage as well, he's also shooting 36.6% from the 3, which is great, and on top of that, averaging 0.8 steals. So when it comes to Podziemski, he's definitely a huge asset even as a rookie, and he was ruled out for that game due to a knee slight injury. He should be back very soon, but when it comes to his role for this team, it's definitely bigger than what everyone thought. The Warriors fans love Brandin, but I do believe he is definitely going to be much needed when it comes to not only just playoff and championship time, but for the rest of the season for sure. He provides a lot out there, not just only on defense, but on offense as well. Although he is only averaging 9.7 points, the games that he does have great rebounding and also great scoring definitely does show that he is capable of being a great scorer if he needs to step up to the plate. Fortunately, you do have players like Steph, Klay, Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, who are all great scorers, so Brandin doesn't really need to tap into the scoring that often. But when it is needed, it definitely is needed, and during this Warriors game was definitely a time that did show that he is a valuable asset for this team. He stayed at 6'4", 205 pounds, rebounds, and as a rookie, he's definitely shown a lot of signs that he is going to be a great player, not only just for this year, but for the years to come. The third is that the Warriors saw a lot of promise in their future star players. Now, as you all know, the Warriors sat out their starters very early in this matchup. Steph Curry only got 17 minutes, Klay Thompson only got 12, Green also only got 14. So pretty much after the first half ended, they pretty much didn't allow the starters to play, but we got to see a lot of bench players actually get a lot of minutes, and they actually did a fantastic job. Now, the game was pretty much over, so obviously it was hard for them to keep up, but if we look at the third quarter, they only lost 24-33, and in the fourth quarter, they actually won that quarter, scoring 26 points to the Warriors, while Boston only had 25. But some standout performances that I did love from this game was definitely from Trayce Jackson-Davis. Now, as you all know, Trayce Jackson-Davis was definitely becoming a very big star for this team, but once Draymond Green got back, his minutes were definitely restricted quite a lot. In this matchup, he was able to get 22 minutes, and he gave us 8 points, 8 rebounds, and also 2 assists, while also getting 2 blocks. And I think Trayce Jackson-Davis can definitely be a fantastic player. It is definitely very hard for him to get minutes due to the fact that there are a lot of players such as Draymond Green. You also have Dario Saric, Kevon Looney, who are all technically ahead of him when it comes to the hierarchy. So it is hard for him to get minutes, but he definitely did show a lot of promise. Now, we may see a certain amount of minutes from him in the future, maybe only around that 10-minute range for the rest of the season, but I do believe as the years come by that Trayce Jackson-Davis can definitely be a star, as he is showing a lot of telltale signs. Now, so far this season, he is averaging 6.6 points, 4 rebounds, and also 0.9 assists, but he's also shooting an effective 70% from the field. Yes, guys, heard that right. 70% from the field, while also averaging 0.8 blocks, which I think is great. So Trayce Jackson-Davis, for the minutes that he does get, he does do a fantastic job. I think TJD can definitely be a star in the future, especially when he is given a lot more minutes. But right now, it is definitely very difficult. Dario Saric is still there, Looney, Green, so many bigs ahead of him, and now Jonathan Kuminga has stepped into that star or starter role, and because of that, he definitely has had to take a backseat. But it does not mean that he isn't going to be useful in the future. I do believe this year, if they do make playoffs and also the championship time, that he is definitely going to be needed at times. He's a fast-paced player due to the fact that he is a power forward slash center at 6'9", but he moves like a guard and can definitely get the job done, which I think is great. The fourth is that Stephen Curry does not look phased whatsoever. Now, as you all know, Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors, have had a bit of a battle with the Boston Celtics, as Warriors did actually end up beating Boston in the NBA Finals. And ever since then, Steph Curry had a lot of jokes to make, and I guess Boston Celtics wanted to take it out in this matchup. Now, Curry did have himself a pretty poor performance, 2 from 13 from the field, 0 from 9 from the 3, and also only had 4 points, 3 assists, and also 1 rebound, while also getting 2 turnovers. So definitely not the best game for Steph Curry, and also with the beat down on top of that, a lot of people were definitely clowning on Steph Curry over the last couple of days or even hours. So when it comes to Steph, however, it is what he actually had to say post-game interview about how the game went.
Did you have any doubt you'd play today?
Just because you just want to make sure it didn't swell up any more than it already did. But when I woke up this morning, it was in a good spot when I just had to test it to see if I could not feel any pain when I was out there, and that's how it went. So it's a good decision to play just based on how I felt.
I think you only ended up playing 16 minutes. Is that how much of an off day, half off day does it feel like when you only play, half?
No, it still feels like a game because you had to do all your preparation stuff, and even the 16 and 17 minutes I played, it was physical, and you're trying to find any type of life out there. But we do have 2 days off before another back-to-back. So
as you see, not only is Steph non-phased by any of this, but it definitely does show that people have off games, and Steph Curry definitely admitted it, but he is going to come back even stronger. Now, guys, you do have to realize these people are human. They will have their off days, and it seems that it was just one of those days, but it does not mean that they are not great players. And I think that's what makes Curry and great players in general very much different from others. It's the fact that they can bounce back from games like this and be able to give you an absolute show, and we are going to be probably expecting that in the next matchup, because Steph Curry is still and capable of carrying a team like the Golden State Warriors to another NBA championship. The fifth is that we got to see Lester Quinones finally get a lot of game time. Now, as you all know, Lester Quinones has been a little bit of an underrated star. A lot of Warriors fans do love his game, and they are waiting to see him actually get some minutes out there. As we all know, he was from the G League and absolutely dominated there, and now that he's head up into the Warriors roster, he finally got some minutes, 33 minutes in this matchup, and he was able to drop 17 points, 5 rebounds, while also going 7 from 16 from the field, and also 3 from 10 from the three-point line. So he did a pretty good job. As we all know, this game was definitely pretty much a given. However, when it comes to Lester kind of getting more minutes out there, he definitely showed a lot of promise and a lot of reason why in the future he definitely has a great future with the Golden State Warriors. Now, I think this is super interesting to see because I think this game may mean a lot more than people think. It may seem like a blowout to everyone, but I do believe we got to see a couple of glimpses of future stars that could be for this Warriors team, especially when Draymond, Curry, and Klay Thompson eventually retire, or if they do get traded somewhere else. But I do believe they have some great young core talent, and it definitely did show in this Boston matchup.